We're about to put a ton of work in here. Get ready. One day, I decided I wanted to draw one of the best pieces of art I've ever created. I specifically wanted to utilize every art secret and skill I had stolen at the time to the fullest. If you're confused, don't worry. I'll clear this up real quick. Hello, I'm a duck named Sofa. I steal secrets and skills from other amazing artists and then replicate it in my own artwork to make it better. I usually end up creating art of anything I'm interested in or inspired by, like music and video games. Through studies and challenges, I've been able to build upon my abilities as a digital artist over time. If you're interested, stick around. Steal some secrets with us. It'll be fun. So, like I said, I wanted to do the best art I could and needed to figure out a good starting point. If you've been around for a little bit, you know that music is an easy trigger for my inspiration. I have a vivid imagination, so some sort of scene is bound to force its way into my head if I listen to some good music. I was waddling around somewhere and wasn't even thinking about it when I heard a song that easily took over and made itself the theme song of the day. This is a very raw feeling that comes from this. An almost primal step in the drum kit that grounds the digital sound. Maybe it's the simplicity of the subtle escalation, but what really hits, what definitely hits, are the vocals by Maya. I'm gonna be honest with you, I still don't know how to pronounce her name. I took about 10, 15, 20 minutes trying to find someone saying her name. No one across the internet. That's insane. I'm sure there's someone somewhere saying it, but come on, how am I supposed to find that? Anyway, there's a freedom in simplicity. Clearly, what you've been seeing in the background are the beginnings of the energy that I got from this. This would have honestly been a good contender for a chill light piece. So I tried about 3 different sketches and wasn't fully satisfied with the direction. It was important to get the right feeling first and then build upon what I felt was right. The dance motif had captured me, so now I broke away from that for the references. There was a ton of research, trial and error, and everything I could do to find something that just felt right. Keep in mind, this wasn't just a sketch or an experimental piece. I wanted to be intentional about this. I was prepared for this part of the process to take a few days if it had to. Sketch for a feel, look for a reference, see what fits, do it over again. It wasn't until I found these images that I really thought I hit the mark. The pose was great here, but I wanted more twisting. Something without full openness. This was feeling kind of good. Like my subject was in the process of opening up, but hadn't fully yet. I did a very messy gesture sketch that carried the energy from the original ideas, but leaned heavily on the reference. For now, I'd start the cleanup. If you've seen any of my Spider-Verse experiment series or my art piece Creature feature, you'll notice that I'm using that method here. It's what I guess you can call my most original art process. Something I would say results in anything close to what I would consider my art style. I honestly don't know how accurate that statement is because I've been drawing for decades and don't think I have an art style just yet. Either way, it's what feels the most natural to start with right here. The face was originally based on this beautiful reference photo here. I honestly thought that this was a good sticking point, but something just didn't fit fully. I knew that even at this step, things were still all experimental. I started testing the hair shape and movement, but that would all be fleshed out more in the coloring and rendering stages. Let's give some shape to clothing. I had an idea of what I wanted her to wear. I needed something to flow around her though. like a sash or silky cloth. I ended up deciding on a satin shirt and added another thing to the list for researching on the rendering phase. Anything under the shirt needed to be form-fitting, so at first I figured the leotard would be fine. Then my swan told me to put some damn clothes on her. I refused to compromise my vision. She got flowy shorts later. There, is everyone happy? Side note, what is it with non-artists looking at men drawing women as perverted? Learning the feminine form is necessary when you want to draw different subjects, and you don't do that by pretending things aren't there or censoring them. To be clear, I'm not giving anyone a pass to draw adult content and hide behind the "it's art" excuse. There's a thin line where that becomes acceptable, and it starts with become an art god. Seriously though, what are we expected to do? Draw a big box in the middle of a person because we don't have those parts? By that logic, I'd only be a good artist from the neck up. Contact points on clothing, differences in body shape, these are things that are way too important to gloss over. Look, the guy finishing his drawings with all women subjects with big booties and boobies, tons of cleavage and all these different things is not the same as the guy in the middle of his art piece just trying to figure out the female form. Because that first guy is Ergo Josh. Josh is a great artist, and we'll talk more about him after I've finished my study of his work. I told you it was coming. Alright, let's get back to this. So I originally thought this face was okay, but it kept bothering me for some reason. It just wasn't up to par. I did a little bit of experimenting, which I coincidentally remember seeing in Josh's work. I separated the head and sketched a new one on a different layer. I went through just a few different sketches, unlike others who have done like 5 to 10. I can't remember if I found a reference for this, but if I did, it'll be on screen, just like the rest. I decided to follow the motion lines and give better movement to the overall pose. This caused me to conclude that a turned head felt better. It would influence her body and her hair. This felt natural to me. Now, I was more comfortable to color everything. I started working on the values of the shirt, and I was excited to bring this to life, but the line art was all black. That would be fine for the shirt and other things in the clothing, but not for the skin. I colored over the appropriate areas to make the rendering easier later. Since I already prepped for rendering, it was time to build the new values. If you've seen my videos, you're familiar with what to do next. When I say that this is one of the best pieces of artwork I could make at the time, it's not a joke or an exaggeration. Not only am I trying to be efficient, I'm thinking about all the things that I honestly don't want to, like anatomy. We all know that I haven't studied it as deeply as I should, and if you don't know, then now you know. It'll happen, give it time. I needed to capture parts of this I would normally miss. The under part of the shirt, crevices, and folds, there's plenty I wanted to dot I's and cross T's on. The thing that I had become super excited about was the hair. For some reason, I was dreading it initially, but the more I touched on it, the more excited I felt. I think I had finally gotten my footing with this hair process, and the brushes added to it. While we're here, rendering skin. Side note, stop overly relying on brushes. When developing your process for rendering anything, do not start with a special brush that you found that makes it happen easier or quicker. There's nothing wrong with adding efficiency into a process, but that's not the same as skipping aspects of learning. I honestly believe in digital art. When studying something, you should be able to sketch and render it with at most 2 brushes, maybe 3, but it comes down to functionality at that point. This clearly isn't an always do this situation. I'm using a ton of brushes right now, but it's a way to challenge yourself while learning. For example, when using my study method, I start with Procreate's basic flat round brush. To be honest, I could render all the way through with just this if I wanted. It just takes a lot longer. This is the origin of the study method, but we'll get into that some other time. Eventually, I understood that certain points were streamlined using certain brushes, and sometimes I even reverse engineered the effect to bring my knowledge full circle. This is how some of us end up developing our own brushes in the first place. Brushes do not make the artist. It's the other way around. I wanted points of motion to be detailed. The hands and face are essential, and they're definitely going to be my focus points. So let's take care of her fingernails. I have this random habit of giving women longer fingernails. Not too long though. Personal preference, anything past half an inch is chaotic unless you are a witch or something. But hey, that's just me. We're fully in the rendering window now. The overshirt detailing is just further cementing the aspects we introduced earlier. Hair is more fun because now we can add in some extra details to make the shine pop. And here are those mini shorts that I mentioned earlier. By this point, I pretty much had everything done. Now it was time for a background. Some simple textures would work, especially since they, weren't really the star of the show. I even wanted to put a bit more into making our subject more prevalent. I was just being playful now, so I dropped in some God rays. Then there was something I wanted to try. I decided to render some water, purely for stylistic flair. The last time I rendered water was for DTIOS, but now I was doing it for me. I kind of didn't really need a reason for this, for the water to be here. But if someone really wants an explanation, you don't get one. I don't care. It's my art. I can do what I want. We were here now. I pretty much finished my beautiful art. Wait, what the fuck? Did I not paint in her ear? Okay, so I scrambled to fix this, but it's not the first time this has happened. Clearly, this needs to be corrected in the future with an ear study. Spoiler alert, that might be coming soon, but enough of that. This is the home stretch. Now it's just detailing. I even tried to add in a few bubbles, but not too many. A few was fine. But that was it. This was the greatest art piece, in my opinion, I had made. I put everything I had in it. This is Gleam. Well, there we have it, everyone. I love this piece. This was so much fun to go through. There's so many different things I was able to accomplish with Gleam. And when it comes to creating different things, going through all the different processes, thinking about all the different things I've learned, I feel like I put maybe my best foot forward here. Granted, there are some things with every art piece, there are some things that I feel like made it just a little bit of a distance away from being perfect. There is no perfection, there's no such thing, but there are some things that I care about that I really want to put in here, or I really want to do to change it. Maybe some edits. Who knows? We might explore that later. But if you guys are enjoying this, if you are, happy to see Sofa finally put out an original piece of art, please let me know how you liked it. Let me know. Let me know what you think. With that being said, I'll see you soon.